Hello, it's 8 o'clock. And it's Wednesday morning. Gee, wake up, wake up, wake up, Diva. Wake up. All right. And I'm woke. I am woke, and it's a beautiful day. Ooh, is it a beautiful day? Ooh, is it a beautiful day? Ooh, is it a beautiful day? Oh, yeah, get on up and get on out of there after you finish listening to me, of course. Get on up and get out. We're not going to have these days for much longer. They're talking about maybe for the rest of the week, but it is so beautiful. It's enchanting, and it's lovable, and I'm happy. This is the kind of weather I love. It's called an Indian summer in some states of the world, but it's a beautiful time. I wanted to get on to Dr. Benny Prim last week. I wanted to pay tribute to him. He was a wonderful gentleman who passed away, and one of the most fabulous men I know. And I didn't acknowledge him last week. I went to his funeral at Abyssinia, which was very well attended, and David Dinkins and so many people showed up. He's a wonderful, wonderful man, and he was responsible for me getting some of my first students when I had a dancing school years ago. I taught his children. So, Benny, wherever you are, I know you're sitting on the right side of God. All right, I love you. Love you, love you, love you, love you. And then, of course, it's been one of those weeks where I've tried to get it together and get it together. I don't know. I'm going to talk about it soon. Everything seems to be moving slower and harder and not as easy. And I seem to be doing it, but I'm like, well, did it ever take me this long to get here and do all this? All right, hold on. Hello?
Hi, I have Congressman Rangel here.
Oh, you have him.
Hold
you
on,
tell
hold on.
him, yeah.
Jane?
Aw, John, listen, my Congressman Charles Rangel, I said, let me see if he calls me. I said, I want to make sure he calls me. Because I've been reading about you, Mr. Congressman Charles Rangel, about your career fair that you're getting ready to have up here.
It is so very, very exciting, and it really works. You know, you hear a lot on television about men looking for women and women looking for men, and they all are available. They just can't get together. Well, that's what the career fair is all about. There are so many agencies, public and private, and companies that are looking for qualified people. And, of course, there are people young and old that are looking for jobs. And so we have about 70 people that will be coming out to City College once again. And we screen the people so that they don't have to go around 70 tables and direct them to where there are needs that fit their interests. And it works, and we've had dozens of them. And even though we have high unemployment, this merely targets those looking for work and those that have opportunities.
Well, I'm going to, Congressman Rangel, I have just really, I just keep hearing jobs, no jobs, no availability, no nothing. And it's so sad because I know it's true. And when I heard of a career fair, I thought to myself, gosh, they ought to put / and jobs because...
Well, you're right. They should say jobs first because when you're unemployed, it's not only lack of money and ability to pay your rent, buy food and clothing, but the loss of self-esteem.
Yes.
Personally, what happens to a family structure, not working is a lot more than just not having resources. But we call it career because there are many people that are working that are not satisfied with their work or have training that exceeds the job level that they have. And so they have an opportunity not to give up their job until they find something better. So it is career and it is jobs. And it is basically an opportunity to find out what is out there for me. And one of the tragedies that we have in inner cities is that schools are so poorly structured that kids cannot dream as to what their capabilities are. You know, some families, they have their parents, their grandparents, even their communities, where they can aspire at an early age to know which direction they want to go. When I was a kid at Lenox Avenue, I not only didn't have anybody in my family that went to college, but I had nobody in the neighborhood that knew anybody that went to college. I thought that City College, that majestic building on the hill, for so long, I thought that was Riverside Church.
Well, you know what? And you know what? And it was so. And Charlie, remember,
outside of my community, I could see them.
And
but the sad thing is that unless I had gone into the Army and met people who knew more about the world and life than I did, and that is why having the career fair, it allows people to think beyond the limitations that they may have in their home or in their block or in their neighborhood. They can think big because we have salespeople trying to sell their jobs. One of the most proud things that I've done in the Congress is open up the Foreign Service to minority kids. That's not what this is about on Tuesday, November the 10th at City College. But it's something that as I went around the world on congressional business, the people representing the United States of America, some of them had never seen a black congressperson. And they would ask me, who did I work for? And then when you take a look at the State Department, they never recruited people from minority communities or a lot of women. And it was almost an inside track. Now we have scholarships, state supported. They call themselves the Wrangell Fellows. They go to Howard University. They take scholars. They train them. And after 2 years, they not only get a degree, but they're automatically a part of our foreign service. The fantastic thing about that is not just the prestige and the income. It's how many people really know how big this world is, how many different colors and complexions and languages and cultures that we have, and how many people are just born, raised, and die not knowing anything beyond their community. And there's a big world out there that only the wealthy sometimes see, but there's also, and more important, there is opportunity out there.
Well, you know what I like about the career fair and this whole existence is that nowadays so many jobs and things that are available have to be arrived through technology, have to be arrived through computer, have to have sort of a resume-based skill via the internet. So many people are turned off by that, or you know, somewhat have a phobia against it and don't approach it. In fact, what has really been said in many instances is that the technological world has taken over the job market, and because it has done so, it has eliminated so many, as you spoke of earlier, are educated or uneducated or not aware of, not in tune with the society in terms of the computer and the internet and the technological world. So you know.
Well, you listen to me, Gene, and you listen to me good.
Okay.
That technology is taking over the entire country and the world.
Yes.
And for those people who get out there in the water and find out that they have to swim in order to survive in this world, if they give up, they are going to drown.
Yes.
We have so many trade agreements that I think make a whole lot of sense for the country, but it eliminates a whole lot of jobs here.
Yeah.
And I would support these trade agreements in a minute if the president would attach to it existing jobs in terms of infrastructure, roads, and bridges, but more importantly, if they would put technology as a mandate for all of our schools the same way Kennedy said we've got to reach the moon,
yes,
and have our kids who can learn now.
Yes.
Are they going to be people that fall between the cracks because they're too far behind? You bet your life.
Yes.
But that doesn't start automobiles and air from took over. My grandfather worked as an elevator operator for over 35 years. His test to operate was pulling a rope with weights on it because that's how elevators operated.
Mm-hmm.
And if he didn't learn how to push the buttons and to use the levers and do all of those things with schools they had for guys in Harlem, he never would have been able to continue to be an elevator operator. This is a technology revolution.
You know,
and nobody is too old, but they're scared to death of something that they don't know. That's why throughout our community, throughout our schools, you see all kinds of schools there for adults. But they ought to go to some of our elementary, smaller schools for kids and see how whizzes these kids are on electronic devices and computers and iPads. And so I'm glad that you raised this because as long as there is a fear of technology and a lack of willingness to learn about it, these people will totally be lost.
You know, Charlie Rangel, Congressman Donald Rangel, I was in the Chase Manhattan Bank yesterday, and I looked up, and 4 of the tellers are missing. But what has replaced them are 2 technological machines no longer in the outer lobby, but inside the bank. What happened to those tellers? Well, God knows. Some of them might be somewhere else, but most likely some of them are about to lose their job or have lost it already.
Well, what they try to do, because it costs a lot just to lay people off, and it costs a lot of unemployment, it costs a lot of loss productivity. What normally happens is that they stop hiring trainees for that and have trainees that are being trained for something else. Once a person has reached the point that they retire, then they don't rehire someone for that position. In addition to that, people my age know a lot of people that's been bought out, that they get earlier pension plans because their job has been replaced with technical knowledge. My brother-in-law, he retired early because there was no need for his services. And so it's not all that people are fine. It's just that there are new opportunities that replacing jobs that require little or no skills. It is a terrible thing for people my age who, if I was faced with this at my age, I could not acquire those skills. But my kids would.
Mine either.
My grandkids would.
Your grandkids.
And that's what we have to concentrate on, providing new and broader opportunity for the next generation.
They had an article that in 2024 that anybody who's living around here today will not be able to keep up with what's going on technologically.
That's not so. You know.
Did you read that? Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Yes.
But there's some people that refuse to want to find out anything new because it's easier not to know. It's easier not to learn. It's easier to believe that something's going to come along and just pick you up and take you with the progress of really, you know, working hard or being concerned about what happens to you sometimes are traits that are acquired. You're just not born with it. You can sit around and wait, and your ship may never come in because you don't even know what it looks like if it came in and you saw it. But the truth is that our younger people have a big problem today convincing their parents that they have to learn. And we do have so many courses now where we educate the kids to educate their parents. You know, and it's not just technology, it's health benefits. In Harlem Hospital, we have a rap artist that teaches kids how to sing rap songs to their parents and tell them that they may be susceptible to strokes. And they sing it in funny songs because parents don't want to take any darn lectures from their children.
Yeah.
But when the children keep joking and kidding and saying, you're not supposed to eat this, you're not supposed to smoke, I'm going to lose you, Daddy, I want you to see me to graduate, it means that we have to find some way for young kids who are going to be exposed to new technology not to revolutionize the thinking of their parents completely, because when there is change, there are people that's going to lose. But it doesn't have to be a dramatic change. It can be a transition. And heck, you can see me on my iPad and my iPhone with one finger and look at my kids and see how fast they move with it. But I'll be left behind, but slowly I'll be catching up. I'm not going to be completely left behind. I guess the whole darn thing is pushing people to the technology water, and it's just like going to a pool or going to a beach. You can test it all you want, but you've got to get in that water if you're going to learn how to swim. And you can't stand still and say technology is taking over the world. No more than you can say that airplanes and the steam engine taking over the world. I mean, you're part of the world. You got to live in it. The world is around you. You can condition yourself to deal with it. You know, health is another big item. It feels so good to eat the foods that you love to taste. And carrying weight around, it's difficult to lose. But when you go to as many funerals as I go to and see how younger people are dying because of drugs and liquor and abusing their bodies, somewhere along the line, something's going to hit you that your lifestyle, that the person that you're hurting is just your family and your friends if you lost, but you're hurting yourself. And so whether you're talking about preservation of your body or whether you're talking about exposure to technology, Gene, there are so many courses and classes for middle-aged people and older people that no one has to be embarrassed about what they don't know. The only thing they have to do is to try to find out. And I'm glad that we started off talking about the career fair, but there are people that will never get employment, never get a job because they're afraid of being rejected. You know it, and I know it.
Oh, I do, and what happens is that it goes along with what you're doing. I mean, while the career fair, what are some of the careers that you all are highlighting? I mean, I know you don't want to pick one over the other, but I mean, what are some of the things?
There are so many that I could not possibly.
Yeah.
We're talking about civil service jobs, the fire department, the police department, accounting jobs,
everything.
social services. You know, when you get to the door, you can say what you do and what you want to do and be directed to people that do those type of things. There's jobs in education, there's jobs in health. The fantastic thing is that there are jobs all over, and there are people all over that are looking for jobs. All we do is bring them together.
That is just so, I mean, I hate to sound prejudiced, but I am, because when anybody says anything about what's going on now and what's happening, I say, and I know I'm quoting many other people, I say it's J-O-B, it's jobs, J-O-B-S. We don't have it. And with the economy and everything that we're crying about and sighing about, it's because of jobs.
Well, if you and I had a chance to talk, as sometimes we've had, and people get together, I'm convinced that the one tool that's most important for survival in this world is education.
Yeah.
And it's almost the same thing that you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But unless you are educated enough to negotiate, to have a job, people with jobs, they stay out of jail, they stay out of hospitals, they stay out of trouble, they look for marriages, they look for nice places to live, they educate their kids, they are productive, they pay taxes, and if you take a look at marriages that break up, most all of them is because of money.
Yeah.
If you take a look at why people can't dream, why they can't hope, it's because it's hopeless. They're jobless. They're homeless. And they have no money. And the worst thing about not having money is not having hope and not having the ability to be employed because you're unemployable. In the older days, when the economy was just physical. He can get a job unloading a ship, breaking the sidewalk, chopping down a tree.
Yeah.
But you pointed out, Gene, it's now technology, and you've got to do more than that. We're living longer because we know more about the world and how to survive in the world. But one of the tragedies that we have in this country are two things: racism,
Yes.
we
Oh
still
my
carry
God.
the stigma of slavery, not only in this country, but all over where slavery has been the basis of economies. And the second thing is the failure of education. Education, in my opinion, is the backbone of our national security.
Yes.
And if you don't have a country that's able to compete with other countries, and you're not able to produce, and you're not able to have educated, healthy people, you're not going to survive in this world.
But you know,
People who don't have access to education, they may want to be ISIS, they may just want to be envious, they may want to kill progress, they may think that anger is a substitute for success, and you have to deal with it. Because sometimes a kid has a tantrum because they don't believe there's a solution, anyone's paying attention to their problem. But education provides you with the tools to recognize you got a problem. And half of the solution to a problem is recognizing you have one.
well, you know, I'm looking at now, and I see that everybody's talking about education. But how are the schools? And I mean, I know this is a long conversation. I really would love for you to come back so we can really get into some of the things. But you know, some of these schools are not technically equipped to hold up all this electrical equipment like the computer and the internet. I mean,
Gene,
right,
I would love to look back on your program because you have such a broad listening audience, and it just annoys me to find out that parents are just not screaming to the high heavens
yes,
about the lack of production in school. It just annoys me that we are arguing about charter schools versus traditional schools when this is only a fraction of the lack of education our kids are getting. The relationship between education and success goes unchallenged. The relationship between lack of an education and problems that can be prevented, it goes unchallenged. And so we don't demand enough of public officials, we don't demand enough of teachers, and we don't score accurately. We have so many dedicated teachers that offer their lives. But if you throw them in classes of 40 and 50, they cannot function.
no,
They cannot. It's just like giving a water pistol to a fireman going into a blaze. You've got
Thank
to
you.
give him or her the equipment to work with. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't. I have a friend that does quite well, and he asked me to visit his kid's class. Well, I have a lot of things to do, and this was a private school.
yeah,
And I went. There were 10 kids in the class and 4 teachers.
yeah,
So I be damned. How can this kid fail? And he was a single father.
yeah,
But the kid is exposed to 4 teachers, 10 kids in the class. Everyone was happy. The kids
Yeah.
were so bright.
Yeah.
They were telling me about legislation.
oh
You know,
yeah,
they were 8 or 9 years old. We're
know.
ahead of the curve.
I know. And
And
you
so
know,
it means that
and
we
after
can
school,
do it. We
yeah.
can do
We
it.
can do it. And then after school, they have chess and they have aerobics and every other thing, robotics and all of this kind of stuff, and you know, advanced computer. I mean, and there sits somebody in a class, and I'm going to be timely, who's a policeman are coming in, dragging out the girl because she refused to get off the telephone. I mean, it is such a difference of what's going on, and it's like Ray Charles could see that, you know. I mean, I don't get it.
Well, I
We
tell
don't
you
see
one
it.
thing.
Yeah,
In the school I was talking about, you could call all the police that you want and tell them to get rid of some kid. And they'll take a look at the neighborhood and know what the parents are, and they wouldn't be going anywhere near that school. Because education, and that's another thing. I have to leave. We have to go to the floor. But that's another thing. When you are educated, police innocent buyers, they find victims who are powerless in communities that they believe won't strike back. And sometimes you find exceptions to it, like when famous tennis players are attacked by police. But overall, education, the way you carry yourself, the way you live, it's a protection against these racist people that try to take advantage of you because they think you're poor and helpless. And so, in the final analysis, to me, besides living a better life, the self-esteem that you can have when you know that you're productive, like you got more self-esteem, Gene, than you need, no matter where you go. You look good, you smell good, you talk like you're in charge, and that's because you know you're somebody. But someone else could walk in the same room and see you and say, geez, I wish I was like that. And they could be like you, except they just don't believe they can make it because they've never been exposed to anyone that told them that they're good. So I'm going to leave and tell you, Gene, you're good. And Tuesday, November the 10th, from 10 to 4, we'll be at City College at the Great Hall.
Oh, you're going to be with Charlie.
When I was a kid, I'd look up at this great building, and I thought that was Riverside Church. But it's a reservoir of education, and we're using it in order to educate people as to how many jobs are available.
And Charlie Rangel, you are going to be there, right?
You bet your life I'm going to be
All right,
there.
because everybody, a lot of people, believe it or not, I guess you can believe it, they still like to see their Charlie Rangel. They like to see him in person.
I'm retiring next year, and who knows what job opportunities that you do for me. So I'll be there to check out and see what opportunities are there for everybody.
Well, take a look out for me, too. All right.
Okay, Gene, we'll go together.
All right. All right.
Have
a beautiful day, and thank you for this interview.
Thank you. Let's
all right.
Bye-bye.
I will.
Bye.
I will. Bye-bye. That was fun. But you know what? I'm telling you, I had a friend who had a friend who applied for a job, and they called me up a couple of times to tell me that in order to get a job now, you had to go on the computer. You know, the days when you knock on the door and you knock on the office door and you say, "Hi, I'm here," and somebody says, "Oh, you here?" and they let you in. Well, those days are gone. Now you have to get in touch with them by computer, and it was quite a deal what they had to say. Let's see who this is. Hello.
Hello, this is Marilyn Nelson.
Oh, Marilyn Nelson. How are you? How you doing? I this morning I thought to myself, I said, oh, I really want to hear this person here because you're getting ready to do something very, very important. I think you're going to be at the St. John Divine or whatever. What are you going to do?
At the Cathedral of St. John the Divine on Amsterdam Avenue at 112th Street.
Yes.
We're going to induct Zora Neale Hurston into the Poets' Corner.
Oh, how fabulous. You know, when I saw that you yourself had written so many books in poetry, I thought to myself, she should have a book signing so we could go and associate and familiarize ourselves with you.
Well, yeah, that would be nice, but I don't, yeah.
I know that. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I was just so impressed by your resume. I mean, you're really quite wonderful. In fact, you're the daughter of a Tuskegee airman. You're the author of 24 books. I mean, so many things. You're a professor emeritus at the University of Connecticut, and you have a book out now about how I discovered poetry. And I thought I would love to read that book. What's that about?
It's about it's about me.
Yes.
I usually read about myself, but this one is about me between the ages of 4 and 14.
Okay.
It's about growing up in the 50s in a military family, moving around from place to place, having a lot of little girl experiences, and it's also a kind of an experiment in writing in the voice of a very young child, and then making the voice grow up over the years. So, yeah,
You know,
not half as interesting as Zora Neale Hurston, though.
well, you know what? That's for you to say, of course, because you're probably extremely modest. But that is what you're about to do. Except what exactly? I mean, when I speak of poetry, I just want to stay on it for just a moment. I just find that poetry is one of the parts of literature that is sometimes, for lack of a better word, somewhat ignored. And when I say ignored, it's not. It hasn't been given its full appreciation that it should be because it's just a wonderful medium. However, for some odd reason, the way it's written, the way it's presented. Many people find it somewhat intimidating. I would say. Um,
Yes, yes. The word intimidating is. I think a lot of people have poetry anxiety in the same way that I have math anxiety. They say if somebody says it's a poem, they immediately think they are not going to understand it.
yes.
I think that's the result of a way poetry has tended to be taught in the schools, as if it's a secret code, and if you don't have the code, you don't understand the poem, and only the teacher has the code. And I know I've been in myself as a child, in many classrooms where the teacher will say, "Oh, here we have a poem about daffodils. What do daffodils symbolize?" And some of the kids in the front row are waving their hands, and they say, "Daffodils symbolize spring." And the teacher says, "No." I think that has.
I'm laughing because I go along with you. I agree with you.
Yes, and then we also have a couple of generations of poets who don't want to be understood by ordinary people. They write really complex philosophical poems because they don't want to be understood. They're influenced by poets like Pound and Eliot, who wrote over the heads of ordinary people.
And they did it. They did it
many
purposely.
people
They did
Pardon?
it. They did it purposely.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because there is poetry that I don't understand. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, and it sounds beautiful, but you say, yeah. Once I get the message, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
That's why I said there's one tool I don't have today, and that's your poetry. I would love to do. Where can somebody get your book? The book that you wrote. How I discovered poetry.
I don't know. Independent booksellers have been squeezed out now, so you probably. I don't know if you can just go to a bookstore. There's a book. One I know of. Bank Street.
Okay.
School of Education has a bookstore.
Well, I know you must be very thinking if you're going to be at the Cathedral of John the Divine. And who are you honoring again? Can I hear that name?
Yes, Zora Neale Hurston.
Of Zora Neale Hurston. Now, who hasn't heard of her? Now, everybody heard of her.
Everybody's heard of Zora Neale Hurston, yes. I mean, her novel, Their Eyes Were Watching God, is read probably, most people read it in high school.
Okay. And why? And what is this whole thing about? I mean, the Cathedral, the St. John the Divine. I mean, I know she's worth all of that, and she is all of that. But what is the purpose? What are your motivating things for that whole event?
Well, the Poets Corner at the Cathedral started in 1983 by somebody who happened to be in London and go to Westminster Abbey, to the Poets Corner in Westminster Abbey. And in Westminster Abbey, there is a section of the cathedral in which poets are buried, poets like Chaucer, probably Shakespeare is there. And this man came back thinking we need an American version of that. So the cathedral, which is the largest Gothic cathedral in the world, and obviously the largest one in the United States, accepted eagerly the hosting of a Poets' Corner. We don't bury people in the Poets' Corner here, but we put engraved stones in the wall of the Poets' Corner with the poet's birth and death dates, and then a quote from their work. So
say that again. Say that again. You do what? You put you
an engraved stone
yes
in the inside wall of the cathedral.
Yes.
So if you go to the Poets' Corner of the cathedral, there is a wall with stones identifying our greatest writers.
Oh, how nice. How nice. You know, that's just so nice. And can anybody come and go see it and visit it?
Yes, it's a big tourist attraction. A lot of people go there, and I've been told that people go there to have wedding photographs made. People who care about literature would care about this because it's a reverent gesture honoring our great writers.
I never heard of this.
Oh, well, you should go.
I wonder how many of my listeners have heard of this. Because you're talking about down there on 110th Street?
Say that again?
Where you're talking about the Cathedral of the St. John the Divine is on 110th Street, isn't it?
It's on 112th.
On 12th, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Cathedral and go left. And
Oh, yeah. It's right over there by, I call it being close to Columbia.
Yes, it is. It's close to Columbia. And this year, that part of it is important because Zora was a student at Barnard.
Okay.
One of the Barnard faculty people will come and talk a little bit about Barnard, what Barnard gave to Zora, and what Zora gave back to Barnard.
Well, you know, when you two go, what do you plan to do? What is some of the highlights of the ceremony that's going to take place? When is the ceremony taking place?
There are two ceremonies. On Sunday evening, starting at 4:30, there is an actual liturgical church ceremony, and after that ceremony, there's a procession to the Poets' Corner, and the stone will be unveiled.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
This ceremony is
what an honor.
Gorgeous because this is an Episcopal cathedral, so it's very high church.
Oh, yes. I've been there. That's a beautiful church.
Robes and incense and a choir and then it's an actual service, but there will be quotes from Zora Neale Hurston read periodically through the service. That's on Sunday evening, starting at 4:30, and then the next day, Monday evening, starting at 7:30, there will be a celebration of Zora Neale Hurston and her work with several speakers and performers and music that's being composed for the occasion, and some scenes from a couple of Zora's plays, and that will be also spectacular.
Oh, it sounds spectacular. And you know, it sounds so unique and so different. You know, it's almost like a hidden treasure that's getting ready to take place. I mean, nobody knows about this.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yes. I wish more people knew about it. And it would be a very good place for a high school teacher to bring in English.
Yes. College kids.
Everybody's there.
College kids, librarians.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Yes.
You know, educators, you know, artists, artistic, actors and actresses.
Yes.
Yeah, the playwrights,
Yes.
everybody. That's just a wonderful
I'm
event.
expecting you
And
to
I
be
took,
there.
and yeah, and you know what? To think of it is that I am so surprised that I just happened to call Robin the other day and say, this girl Marilyn Nelson, you know, what's with it? And she's she brought you to me. I really appreciate you being here. What a wonderful message you have brought to us here at Harlem Community Radio, WHCR. We're very proud of this.
Well,
That
this is Harlem Radio, and this is right there. And Zora is one of ours. Zora,
yes,
my wife, one of the things that just occurred to me as I've been thinking about her is that Zora is like our Frida Kahlo, dramatic, outrageous, big hat, saying outrageous things, carrying the role of a woman, carrying it farther than it had been carried, really, by most women. She was daring and, I don't know, so vibrant and vivacious.
yes,
They say that she told stories about herself, and one of the things that they say she said she was driving in the South at one point, and there was a red light, and she went through it, and a cop stopped her, and she said, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, but since I'm in the South, I thought the red light was for white people." And they didn't give her a ticket. She did. She played.
I gotta remember that one. I gotta remember that. Oh, and you know what? I gotta have you back. I'm gonna try to get over to this thing here. What day is it? It's. We'll say it again.
It's Sunday at 4:30.
It's Sunday at 4:30.
And Monday at 7:30.
Monday at 7:30, and that's at 112th Street. And what street is that? Amsterdam. Amsterdam Avenue. I know that. My son went to camp out of that beautiful place.
Oh, yes.
ET, whatever they call it, EP, whatever. He goes to camp there. He used to. Well, he's 40 years old now. He can't go anymore. But but I love the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. They're just so fabulous, and to have someone like you, Marilyn Nelson, who is so well known. Thank you so much for this interview. And Marilyn, I hope to see you Sunday.
I hope so. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello?
Hi, this is Joanna Reinhardt.
Yes. Hi, Joanna.
How are you?
I'm fine. Hold on one second. I just so happy to talk to you. I know that you're going to be in something that I'm very much aware of, and what I call it, Joanne, White America.
In White America,
And White
yes.
America. And I don't know whether the title goes along with my philosophy, but this is a White America. And when I heard the title, I said, oh, that kind of cups up, sucks up, embraces, hugs on to the whole being of what's going on in this USA. And I'm dying to hear what you think about the show. I noticed that you, Joanne, have been in so many plays. And when I say plays, you've been on TV, and you've worked with Glenn Close and Law and Order, and Pain, and The Third Watch. You've been in so many wonderful things, and I want everybody to know she's a very, very, very experienced actress. But I just wanted her to discuss White America. Well, what is it in essence about?
Well, in essence, it's about the history of racism in America and how how it's a systemic issue. Unfortunately, it's been something that's been ingrained on both sides as being not okay, but certainly has become a way of life for a lot of people. The thing I really love about the play is that you have a history lesson combined with current topics and, and once again, how it's connected. I play three really wonderful women in history in this play. I play Sojourner Truth in it. As we know, it was an illiterate woman, a former slave, but also was a women's rights activist. And she was most famous for her speech, Ain't I a Woman, where she just spontaneously just stood up and compared herself to the white women who were going through issues at that time. The basic insecurities that, not insecurities, but the, I guess they could be insecurities. It could grow into insecurities as far as how you feel you are in the world and your impact on the world. And the thing I love about Sojourner is that she aligns black women's issues along with European women's issues at the time, which made it palatable, I think, for the audience to accept that this woman just literally just stood up in the middle of this conference and spoke these words to compare her life along with the European women's lives at that point, the suffragettes and the women that were fighting for their own rights.
And I bet it was so similar what she had to say.
Yeah, it's wonderful in the sense that, in aligning that, I think that's what made her so impactful at that time. I also get to play this other woman who is not so well known, this woman named Hannah Tutson.
Never heard of her.
Yeah, she was a landowner back in the late 1800s, just after slavery. Her and her husband owned 150 acres of land, and they basically were cotton farmers, like I said, and they bought the land outright. But the Klan, this is an example where the Klan, this man George McCrae, who was deputy chief of police at the time, there were 4 instances where they attempted to take the land back from these black people who were free at that time. They were former slaves, but they have now become free. And they had 3 children, a 10-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 10-month-old. And then one evening...
What's her name again?
Her name is Hannah Tutson,
okay.
T-T-S-O-N.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an actual transcript that I read when she was... that's located in the Clay County Archives, where she talks about her situation. At this particular time, the deputy chief and the Klan came to the house in the middle of the night, classic story, unfortunately, in the middle of the night, and broke the door down and attempted to threaten their lives to the extent that they would move off the property. They did end up doing that because, unfortunately, they whipped and both of them, the parents, very, very badly.
Oh.
They weren't able to find the children, thank God, because the children were hidden in the field. But they realized that that was kind of the last straw, and their children's lives were at stake. So They did end up moving off the property, but buying property elsewhere. So it's just...
So they really lost... So in the end, they lost the property.
In the end, they lost the property, but they were able to buy property elsewhere.
Okay.
It was just that their lives at that point became more important than holding on to a piece of
When I
land.
hear these stories, I still get mad.
I understand that.
I mean, I know you understand it if you're in it, because I'm sure to do that every night and to be there regurgitating that sad story, that's enough to give anybody who deserve a medal,
Yeah, well, the thing that's so wonderful about them, though, is that they survived it and they were able to raise their children, and then move on with their lives, even though this was just a point in their history that was very tragic in the sense that, the beatings were very brutal. And so that's why they knew that it would be their children next, and so they decided to protect their children and move forward.
Well, what's the third woman?
The third woman is Elizabeth Eckford, one of the Little Rock Nine. And
I was getting ready to say hadn't heard of her now. You said the Nine. What's her name again?
Elizabeth Eckford, Eckford.
Okay.
And she still lives in Little Rock, I believe. I believe she still lives there. But yes, she was one of the students that tried to go to Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, back in 1957. And it's just the struggle for education. I love this character. I love all these characters. But one of the reasons I love this young girl, because she seems to be very, very impactful with audiences, is that there was just an innocence about her. Her parents did prepare her for the possibility of it being difficult for her to go to school, but there was no way to prepare her for the venom and the hatred that was spewed at her, just to attempt to get an education,
And I don't want to interrupt you, but it always amazes me how deliberate it was that we should not be educated. How
Yes.
deliberate. I mean, I've taught school for many years, and there's some people that come to your classroom, and as a teacher, one knows that you don't have to worry about them getting anything because they're not going to get it. They just don't have it. But in general, the only person that you'd be intimidated by is someone that you think that once they get the information, it'll be so worthy that it will hurt you.
Absolutely.
I mean, so they're afraid of you learning, and they know you're capable of learning, and so with force they stop you from learning.
Yeah, and but despite all odds, I'm so grateful that she hung in there. I mean, it took a few years. She hung in there. It took a few years, but of course it brought about, Brown versus the Board of Education. But I mean, it did make an impact in the future. As I was saying, one of the things that's so impactful about this character, she's 15, so I'm that's that tricky age in adolescence anyway, but she had a belief that, these folks would not deter her from going, and then when it occurred, there was an awakening that occurred within her, and then, of course, it made her even more adamant about getting her education. And then eventually, like I said, it led to that particular policy being passed.
Well, Joanne, every step along the way as we speak, I get a great feeling from you how positive looking and positive forward thinking you are about these women and their accomplishments. I see them as real heroes and
yes.
and people who had a tremendous foresight and leaders.
Absolutely. I mean, they weren't my direct descendants, but I know that my parents were very, very adamant about education and formal education and the importance. Knowledge is power. Everyone's familiar with that.
Yes.
And it absolutely is. It just awakens your mind to the world and how much we are very similar in many, many ways. That racism is a made-up word. It's not a real word. It's something that was created to separate us. And it's just unfortunate that so many people have bought into the fact that there are differences. Cultural differences, yes, but I mean, as far as human beings are human beings.
Yeah, when they had that scientist who examined us all and said, I really looked at the blacks and I looked at the white and I took a human body and I took a white human body and a black human body, and there's no difference. They got mad. Oh.
I know. Yeah, yeah. Which
they
is
got
a shame
mad at
because
that.
it's like, well, don't you understand? We're brothers and sisters. We really are.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, it's been scientifically proven now that I believe that there's only really 2 core DNA strands that exist in all people. So we are much more linked biologically than than a lot of people would like to admit.
Well, tell me something. How's it been? Because, I love Woody King, and his production is down at, where is that, the Castillo Theater? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, it's at the Castillo Theater on 42nd Street between 9th and 10th. And what's also lovely is it's also a lovely community of young people are involved with that particular theater. They're called the All-Stars. And, they're involved with theater, dance, and so it's wonderful to be doing this play that's such an impactful historical play amongst young people. It's really great. When we had young people in our audience a few weeks ago, they were very, very receptive. And this is the age of technology. I mean, we were pleasantly surprised that the young people were very attentive and caught the history as well as the impact that it has on present day and, in their situations that they're dealing with on a daily basis as far as, the level of racism they're dealing with It's different, but unfortunately there's still a lot of people out there that believe that we should be separated and that we're not worthy. There's still people that believe that, and that's just very unfortunate. So I believe that if we keep the dialogue open, that will change. It will change eventually.
Well, I wanted to say before you got over here, because I know I was so interested in you, Joanne Reinhardt. I mean, you're just really such a great actress yourself. But you also have thrown in there a little commercial guy called Art. What's his name? What's the other guy who works with you? The other actor? Art?
Oh, well, there's several. There's Art McFarlane.
Art McFarlane, yes.
Yes.
And who else is there?
Shane Taylor.
And Shane Taylor. Well,
yes.
I just want you to know that I love you, and I just think this is going to be so wonderful, and I will be there. I will be
hope
there.
you come to see it. I hope
I'm
you enjoy
coming
it.
to see it.
Please, if you could wait a bit and say hello, I would love to say hello to you in person.
I am going to wait a bit and say hello.
Yeah, I'm really just thrilled, and I hope people come and see it. It's for everyone to see, just so that we can continue the dialogue and help to heal each other and move forward in life. And because, life, liberty, and happiness, that's what we all want. So that's really the goal.
And what I want to say to you is that I couldn't think of a better person with a better personality and heart and feeling about it than to play that, to be in white America. You seem so well chosen.
Thank you.
Love you so much.
You.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hello?
Good morning.
Who is this?
This is Bill.
Hi, Bill. WHCR, Harlem Community Radio, and it's the news time. How you doing, Bill?
Doing just wonderful. It's 59 degrees, and today's National Candy Day.
Okay.
This is Bill DeFrost at WHCR 90.3 News. A thick column of black smoke hangs over the Iraqi-Syrian border near the town of Ash-Shadadi in Syria's Hasaka province. Above the area are circular contrails of coalition planes. Kurdish military sources on the Iraqi side of the border say ISIS strongholds and oil fields are being targeted south of the Hasaka city. At the same time, new U.S.-backed alliance in Syria, the Syrian Democratic Forces, have announced a new offensive and have begun to liberate areas of Hasaka occupied by ISIS. A Texas University dean who said police stopped her for walking while black drew an outrage after the local police chief rebutted her claims. University of North Texas journalism dean Dorothy Bland is taking her morning stroll on a Corinth neighborhood when two officers approached her, according to the dash cam video, and they stopped her for walking on the wrong side of the road. Bland took their picture, and like most African Americans, I'm familiar with the phrase driving while black. Was I really being stopped for walking on the street in my own neighborhood, Bland wrote. Bland, who attributed the October stop to being a brown face in an affluent neighborhood. Just days after members of the Black Lives Matter movement interrupted Hillary Clinton's criminal justice reform announcement, the Democratic presidential frontrunner on Monday went to Chicago to meet with the families of victims of gun violence. The mothers of Trayvon Martin, Jordan Davis, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, and Hadia Pendleton attended the meeting, according to the Huffington Post. The women discussed racial inequality, criminal justice reform, and gun control. Clinton's first pro-gun control ad debuted on Tuesday. And she's a mother, and she's a woman, and I felt she understood where we were coming from, said Samaria Rice. It doesn't matter what color we are. I felt that she really understood our position. Clinton, by the way, tweeted about Monday's meeting with a note of praise about how the mothers turned their grief into a call to action. A former FedEx driver claims he's been subjected to an NYPD campaign of harassment that culminated in a brutal beatdown for unwittingly giving an assassin directions to the Brooklyn housing project, where he then killed two brave police officers. Kareem Baker says he had no idea Israel Brinsley was about to gun down officers Rafael Ramos and Wenjan Liu when he helped him out by giving directions to the Marcy houses in Brooklyn. Baker's attorney says he's been systematically harassed by police since that day. We spoke to you yesterday about the 9,000 fewer suspensions in city schools and last year than in the previous year. The changes came after social justice advocates clamored for reform, and they're condemning the system for creating a schools-to-prison pipeline, especially for black and Hispanic boys. Black students made up nearly 52% of suspensions in the year 2014-2015, while they only make up 26% of the school's population. It's 59 degrees today. Plenty of sunshine coming your way. High today will be 72. The Knicks will be at Cleveland tonight, and the Nets are at Atlanta. This is Bill DeFox at WHCR 90.3 News. Next report at 6 p.m. Bulletins are alert at any time. And now back to Gene Parnell.
And thank you so much, Bill. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
You too. Yeah, I like that. All right. Well, hey, giving us the news. You know, I mean, all the things that he was talking about. I read up on them, and it's just one thing after another. And meanwhile, I have. Are you ready for this? I have 2 grandsons. It's through a marriage, and a son who is in the police department. I have 3 people in the police department. I have a grandson, and I have a great grandson. So I have a son and I have a grandson. So I have 3 people, and I don't think anybody wants the policeman something wrong to happen to them and all. But I wonder about this guy who said he gave the address, the directions. I mean, how did they find that out? They find out so much stuff for little things, and then when you find out where they can't find out where the drugs came from, where they're parked, how they got in the hands of this one, they never find that out. And then they find out somebody gave somebody directions. That's a new one. Oh my goodness. Well, okay, let's see what goes on next. I mean, you just can't, as they say, you have a tendency not to know which is which when you're doing here. I think so many times we are used to hurt one another, and it's just a criminal city. And I heard Christie from New Jersey, the presidential candidate, speaking the other day, and I like what he said. He said that his mother had been on cigarettes since he can remember. She started smoking when she was a teenager. And he said she tried the patches, she tried this, she tried that, and she tried so many things, and she could never get over it. And she said, and that the drug addicts are the same. And why should anybody put her in jail for that? And I think he has a point. All right. Hello?
Hello.
Who is this?
This is Dee Dixon.
Oh, Dee Dixon.
Yes.
Oh, I want everybody to know there comes a time in one's life where you're so happy and you feel so rejuvenated when you have a friend of yours who actually went to high school with you.
That's right.
I mean, literally went to high school.
We went to the high school, and we're still here, and we look good, and I am so proud of you.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
And then we were in the High School of Performing Arts, and
That's
Dee
right.
Dee, I wish I call her then.
That's all right.
The name is Dolores Dixon,
Mhm.
but I call her Dee Dee. Dee Dee was a musician.
That's right.
fabulous
I was.
music.
I
You
am
still-
one.
you still-
Will always be
will
one till
always-
the day I close my. No, I'll go on to heaven and I'll play the harp.
You'll be playing there. And what I must say, a great friend of Diana Sands.
Oh yeah, that was my big sister. That's
yes,
right.
Right. And so I wanted, and she was there. Dolores played. You were in the music department. Am I
I was
correct?
in the music department.
many
Played
people-
classical piano.
How many people were in the music department? Black people.
Oh, I can't even remember. Let me see. Out of all, it was a big number. It had to be all of about 3. Wow.
Wow. That's like the dance department.
That's right.
There was I remember when I got in, they said you can't tap dance, and I said that's a good way to keep everybody out.
That's right. Can you tap dance? Of course we can.
Well, then you can't come in because we don't do tap dancing.
Oh, we do. It's all in our bones. We can tap.
Yes, but in any case, I'm speaking about that, but I don't want you to go without telling them what you're here for, because Dolores is carrying her career on.
Oh, yes, it goes on. Well, actually, you know what it is? I've done so many things, Jean.
Yes.
And right now, things are coming back to me.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm got a big dance company, the Joyce Harrigan Dance Company. I'm on the board for that. Well, Joyce, I taught her dancing.
Uh-huh.
And now she's got the largest company up there in Mount Vernon.
Okay.
So it's like everything is coming back at this stage and age.
I didn't even know you danced.
Oh, yeah, I taught dancing, even for the Department of Welfare. Back there, you name it, I'm going to write the book.
Wow,
I give it 3 years, the
it.
book will be out.
Uh-huh.
And after you read it, you'll be exhausted.
Okay, I'm sure. I am sure.
But anyway, you know, I went through a whole little change here, went on a journey because I had some surgery. I wore out my knees and I bought a new one.
Uh-huh.
And therefore, I have vertigo. So I had to stop playing music in the church because of the hearing problem. So I'm sitting saying, I guess this is it. I just started writing now. But before I knew it, I got a call that there's a new book out, and it's called The New York and the American Folk Music Revival. The big name is Folk City. And I did folk music. I had a group called the New World Singers. I was the female. I had a big German guy who played banjo, and I had a Jewish buddy who played the guitar. So it was just 3 of us. But we did a lot of things and important things. We took part in the civil rights movement because folk music, as you know, was very important during that time, almost like slavery, passing the message, teaching the song, keeping the spirit up, and so on, you know, the energy.
Right.
So when I heard about the book, and they said, you're in it. You're even in the index. Oh, well, I ran down to the Museum of New York to get the book, and there was a big display. A friend went with me, and as we're standing there, I thought he was having a heart attack, and he's pointing, and there I am with the New World Singers and Pete Seeger. And I tell you, Gene, I was so shocked looking up there, seeing this girl with no wrinkles, with a waistline about 15 inches, you know. And I said, God, I was beautiful then.
God, the good old days.
That's right, that's right. So that exhibition really floored me. It knocked me out, and it's a wonderful thing to live so long and then be able to go to a museum and see yourself, see some of the work that you did do.
That's so fabulous.
Yes, that exhibition is at the Museum of the City of New York, and it's
what? So you, in other words, you went over there. You didn't know you were there.
I didn't know I was there, and I went in September, and it had been running since June.
Oh my God,
June
well,
2015.
Let me tell everybody that's something weird because Dolores Dixon don't miss nothing.
That's right.
Yeah,
and I miss that because I'm not driving as much again yet, so I miss a lot of things, seeing a lot of things around the city.
Yes.
So that's it. So that will be running until January the 3rd, 2016.
So you're, I'm going to go over there to look at that now.
Right, that's right. I gave you a special invite to come and join me
to
go look at it because